All right. These questions are from last week, obviously.
We've got a couple that are just popping into YouTube as well.
Still.
Hey, I think we're up on most of the things.
Let's just verify. Welcome, everybody. We're just getting going.
They can't see our faces yet. All right.
Let's verify all the platforms.
Double
One
check.
of these was some
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, welcome, everybody, to show number 90.
I think we're
Yeah,
up on everything.
We should do something special for 100. Yeah, we should. Of course, every show is special, and here we are. I'm Javad Shadzi, CEO of 034 Motorsport. This is Nate Stewart, our head of engineering. And we are here to answer all your 034 related and automotive questions in general. We're happy to delve into other topics too if you'd like. But generally, we find ourselves speaking about 034 products and services, telling people how to say 034, and also a lot of just general automotive questions, which we're always happy to tackle with our no BS approach. We take a real offense to bullshit, and there's a lot of it out there, especially these days with the internet. So we jump at every chance we can to kind of clear things up, and a lot of times things have been oversimplified, so we kind of dive into the complexity of topics as well. And the feedback's been good on that. I've seen a lot of good feedback on it. So we have some questions already coming in. Let's jump in. On the B9 S4 S5, can it be possible to lose some power when disconnecting the exhaust valves and therefore permanently have the valves open on stock exhaust system?
That depends how they're disconnected. If you have a, you're going to call it simulator, emulator, so the ECU thinks that the valves are still there, you're good to go. I honestly would need to look and see if the B9 is one of the ones that will pull power. I don't know off the top of my head.
Like if you just unplug them.
If you just unplug them and you have a fault code for it, chances are good that can usually cause issues, but I'd have to verify on the B9 if it's one that will derate.
Generally, you never want to disconnect anything from the car, especially.
Or if you do, if you've got an exhaust that doesn't have flaps, you need to put like a simulator basically on it so that it still thinks that there's valves there.
And even our motor mounts, you don't disconnect.
It's pretty crazy how reliant all these systems are together. So you may not think like, the ECU won't care. So if it's got a fault code or something in there, it doesn't mean anything. But on a lot of the platforms, they will start pulling back power. The DAZA in particular is pretty known for this, where you unplug the valves and you'll get basically stock or even lower power output. It's got a whole different torque limit map for when there's a fault in the exhaust flaps, because those exhausts are restrictive, more so than what the engine's calibrated for when they're closed. So the engineer decided that if they don't know if it's working or not, they go to the failsafe.
Anecdotally, we've done it here and not lost power.
That's
not official, but in two different cases, we don't believe we did lose power. But our stance is you never just disconnect anything from the car that's connected to the ECU or related to the powertrain in any way. These cars are very sensitive, and they will often respond to having something wrong.
Yeah.
The ECU doesn't ever assume that someone didn't like the exhaust valve, so they just removed them and everything's fine. The ECU's always going to assume something bad is going on, something's broken. You should drive to the dealership immediately and get this fixed. When are my Stage 2 R8 brakes going to ship? I don't have that information here in front of me, but I am familiar with a situation where we had, there was some confusion. This is a brand new product, and there was some confusion about the longer bolts that are included in the brake kit. And I do believe that that's been resolved now for a while, and it should have already shipped, if not very soon. We apologize for any delay there. I strongly recommend you email contact@034motorsport.com for a status update. Thanks for getting the high-pressure fuel pump piston out for the B8.5. Mine is in and working great. Awesome. Question, Stage 2 Plus with stock cats. Should I be able to set readiness with the Stage 2 Plus non-test pipe files?
Yes. Yeah. Those do not alter any of the tests. Those should all work as intended. So Yep. And you can always flash back to stock if you want to confirm what may not be setting. I don't know what you're running for fuel, but if you're on 91 or 93, obviously you can just flash back to stock and confirm. It'll still set all the readiness, do all your tests just like it would normally, even with the bigger pulleys if you've got them.
No, that'll set it's because we're not moving. Is that right?
No, it runs all the tests and we'll nothing's altered on any of the tests. No.
Any further software developments for the MQB platform like S3?
Yep.
TCU Advanced Launch Control.
Yep, we have more turbo calibrations that will be coming down the lines at some point. We've got a bunch of projects and only so many resources to put into each of them right now. So, but yeah, it is on our roadmap.
Are you able to work with individuals that have your tunes to dial in the tune? I'm from Canada and our gas isn't as good as yours, so I would need to make changes to not pull as much timing.
It depends on what.
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, we our 91 is pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So if there's a bunch of timing being pulled even on our 91 file, we would want to take a look at and see what's going on. I don't know what applications it's for, but
yeah. And just to take a step up from here, the entire reason we're here and we're doing what we're doing and we're releasing the kind of tuning that we're releasing and the number of people running our tuning is simply because we got out of the custom tuning market.
Yeah.
We do custom tuning here, and then we offer a custom tuned off the shelf file that's optimized beyond what you're going to find from any like one-off tune on the market. But we simply do not have the resources or capacity to tweak individual files for people.
We'd be literally dealing with hundreds a week.
And honestly, there's no need. So I would say, send an email to tuning@034 Motorsport, get some logs done. It's okay if the ECU is pulling some timing. That's literally how the ECU works. Now, if you're maxing out the ECU's, functionality here, then that's a problem. But every car on the road with any kind of optimized tune should pull some timing here and there. That's what the ECU.
Yeah, you'll see. Every stock you can log in stock. You'll see pretty active timing. Regulation on the NOx sensors. So I mean, you're going to have some correction almost. On almost every fuel. The exception typically being E85, where that one's a very quiet fuel essentially on a NOx standpoint. But 91, 93. Pretty common to see some corrections. So I don't know what you mean by too much. We'd have to evaluate that, but that's where tuning at.
Our tuning support can help you do that. Conversely, if your ECU is not pulling any timing, then that probably means there's power and performance left on the table.
Yeah, it depends on the fuel you're running. Like I said, E85, basically you'll almost never see
No, we're talking gasoline.
But if it's 91 or 93,
we're talking lower octane gasolines.
Yeah. Usually that'll mean like either your NOx sensing is nerfed to the point where it's not picking up some of that noise, or you've got a lot on the table.
Where can I get a sweet 034 Motorsport jacket? We don't currently sell a jacket. We do sell a hoodie. I would be interested in offering a jacket, but I would not want to offer like some generic, promotional item jacket. Like I would want to offer like a legit like North Face or Mountain Hardwear, something technical, because I think I don't ever talk about this, but I used to work in the outdoor industry. I used to be a really avid backpacker, and generally I would say I'm someone, and I think a lot of us here are, and a lot of you probably are as well. I understand the underlying function and benefit of technical solutions, and by technical I mean precisely engineered and designed products that solve or address problems in a proven way. So, if you want to, hey, can you just not have so much bang? Thank you. If you want to just, go out with some buddies or go out to eat, you can wear a cotton shirt and a cotton jacket or a hood. You can wear whatever. And the cotton's going to absorb your sweat and hold it next to your skin. And that's not optimal, right? But you're not really working out and you're not pushing yourself. So you can get away with wearing cotton stuff all day long, and it's kind of comfortable and it's soft. But if you're doing something technical, and I think a lot of times when you're wearing a jacket, just the act of staying warm is a very technical act. Certain types of materials and fibers, are conducive to that. So I would want to have something that's more like technical. But that now you're talking about, you know, a $200 jacket. I'm not sure how many people are interested. So sorry, long answer. We probably won't sell or offer a jacket, unfortunately. But I don't know. If you guys all want, you know, say you'd buy a generic fleece,
Yeah, it's tough. It's that one size.
$80, $90 jacket, maybe we would do it. But we also don't want to release a jacket that we sell €60.
Because especially with clothing, any apparel, you've got to stock all the sizes. You've got what colors people want, so it adds up quick.
3D printing question: have you ever 3D printed nylon filament with carbon fiber? If so, does the carbon fiber actually add strength?
I have not. I've looked into the technology a bit. It depends on the printer you're using.
Yeah.
For the actual the ones I've seen that actually add strength are generally a monofilament of fiber that gets cut as it's being printed. So I think that's one of the Flow or Form Labs or something printers.
But that's an actual like different.
It's designed for a carbon fiber inlay, and it will it's its own ecosystem as far as the slicer and setup. But it'll do a monofilament of carbon fiber within the print for structural reasons.
Yeah.
The chopped carbon fiber ones, I don't know that I've seen much of a strength improvement, but there's tons of videos on YouTube doing a ton of comparisons.
I would look around.
Check YouTube. There's what's his name? CNC Kitchen. He does a lot of good filament breakdowns. Tom's 3D does a lot of really good filament strength analysis stuff. Sometimes he used to do more, but there's a lot of resources out there.
I mean, we've definitely played with some of these kind of like different plastics with embedded materials, and I mean, I wouldn't say you're going to be able to 3D print a nylon part with impregnated with carbon fiber, and it's going to be like a strong part or a lot.
It depends. I mean, it depends on what properties you're looking for too. I mean, nylon and carbon fiber have very different properties, so I'd have to see what the actual intent is for that filament, because nylon's a very pliable, stretchy material, and it is very tough, even 3D printed. Whereas carbon fiber obviously is a much more rigid, brittle, material to add to your print. So
but I mean,
don't have a good answer. There's people out there that have done a lot of much more scientific analysis of these.
Carbon fiber weave on its own, the carbon fibers aren't inherently good for really much of anything until you impregnate them with a very certain type of resin and a certain process. So I guess that's what you need to look into. But we generally just print with PLA.
Well, we're not doing structural parts, so everything we're doing is generally
fit.
test fit. I mean, we do some structural, but it's, nothing outside of normal PETG strength. So, it'll be test fit volumetric, just testing.
For the 8YS3, is the OEM Plus recommendation still just the rear sway bar only, or does the new gen benefit from a front sway bar as well, street use? Well, so the S3 is an MQB car, and we have always offered front and rear sway bars for that. So our recommendation has always been to run the front and rear sway bars for optimal handling on that specific platform, like the MQ, which is an MQB. The B8 S4 we do not offer a rear sway bar for.
Front.
I'm sorry, a front sway bar. We only
Definitely
offer rear. The rear bar only solution is somewhat of a compromise to allow more oversteer or more lively handling. You sacrifice some body roll reduction, and you can definitely feel the stiffer, flatter rear end than in the front. When you run a bigger front bar as well, the car just handles really smooth and flat, but it will push more because you've now increased the roll stiffness of the front as well. The MQB cars like the S3 and the RS3 and the GTI are, they drive more like front wheel drive cars, and we have an incredible setup for the RS3 and the TTRS, which includes a front bar. So you can run just the rear bar. You will get real lively off throttle oversteer. So if you go into a corner, turn and lift, the rear bar only will offer you that weight transfer, and the car will want to go sideways to some degree. What you get with the front bar, though, and some of our other suspension components, once you optimize the alignment as well, which we actually publish those alignment specs on our RS3 on one of our RS3 product pages.
Yep.
It's an incredible sensation if you turn into a corner and you get on the throttle and the car actually turns and it doesn't push like stock. So that's what I recommend for the S3 as well. The last time we entered a competition in our 8V 8V.5 S3, we won at the Streets of Willow with off-the-shelf components, including our front rear sway bar setup.
Springs and bars. Yeah.
It was basically our Dyno Plus lowering springs, our front rear sway bars, some of the inserts.
Do we have I don't think we had the upper camber mounts at that
We
point.
didn't, no.
No,
That was
so
just on
we've got
stock
even more
camber.
for now.
Yeah. So anyways, a very good setup, but we do strongly recommend a front rear bar setup for MQB platform cars, and the new 8Y will be no different. It's basically the same car. Drives, yeah, it's very simple.
Call deck.
Yeah, it's the MQB Evo, but it's basically the same car.
Yep.
A lot of the parts are straight transfer, and then there are some new parts as well. So it's an evolution, as they say. Do you guys plan on having an E30 tune for the Mark 7 R?
The MQB stuff, we will be doing a flex fuel implementation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you'll be able to run E30 or E0 or E85. Yep.
Would you offer a 034 3x5 banner to hang in the garage? Yeah, that's a good idea. We should do that. We already have a 3x5 banner for our dealers, but we should come up with something cool for that.
Guy on the left always looks so fed up. Which one's the left?
Wait, which left?
Yeah,
Great
are
question.
we camera left or are we person left?
You should just say like the tall guy or the short guy. Yeah. I don't think we're fed up. We're actually
No.
pretty engaged. We're here every week,
Yep.
unless
I'm
Or
keeping an
sick
eye
or
on
something.
things that are running, so I'm generally not fed up. It's
I've heard people comment about like how Nate looks like he's like angry on the laptop or bored or something, and he's not. I can see the questions that are there on his laptop.
Yep.
And then the OnlyFans is just left.
some implied gray hair.
Try me, motherfucker. But yeah, I think we should do the banner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Can you guys get away with running single pulley without a heat exchanger on the B8 S4? Won't be constantly beating on it?
I mean, you can. It's not
Yeah.
typically recommended as our product page states.
This question really pisses me off on foot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's sure you can do it. It's not optimal. It's going to heat so quickly.
Yeah, you can definitely do it. You shouldn't, but you could honestly take the intercooler, off the car.
You just plumb a tube across,
and the car will still run.
run. I mean, it's going to depend on your climate, how you're driving the thing. But I mean, yeah, if you're just doing some on ramps here and there, it'll probably be okay.
APR teased their own branded turbocharger over the weekend and alluded to being for B9 3.0T. Would 034 ever make their own turbocharger for the platform that improves back housing flow as well as compressor size? Yes, that is something we're working on. We will initially support the hybrid options that are on the market from TTE and other companies. But the ultimate solution will be, casting turbine and compressor housings for, to put large frame or full frame turbo cartridges in our housings. And we will pick initially a turbocharger line to support, and then we'll go from there. This is going to be a ways out though. It's not a quick thing. And of course we'll have the tuning to back up as well.
Yep.
You ever heard of someone's supercharger pulley falling off while driving on the B8 S4? This just happened to me. It would be even weirder if it fell off when you weren't driving.
Yeah. I've heard of it on some installs. I mean, it depends on the fit of the pulley. I'm assuming we're talking about the upper.
Well, no. I mean, it could be either.
It could be the lower. I don't know on this one. The lower ones, if it's stock, those do literally fall off. They have a rubber isolating ring on them that deteriorates.
It would be good to have a little bit more information about what pulley you were running
Yep.
and which one. Things do fall off cars all the time. I once had I was driving down the road and I heard a loud bang, and I saw my camshaft pulley rolling down the road.
I've run
was
over my
very
own
unfortunate.
tone wheel back in the day. On
Yeah, you did.
My
Yes, you
90
ran
at
over.
Laguna Seca.
And the tone wheel went sideways underneath the car and left like a saw blade
Yeah.
cut all the way down the
Good
car.
times. Lots of things can fall off.
What else have we had? I've had hoods fall off cars. I've had hood grills. I had a Came hood grill.
Had a wheel, we had a wheel come off.
80TQ had a wheel fall off.
Shitty stud set up, or shitty bolt set up on some
Yeah, that was really hard to
That's
tighten.
tragic.
What else has fallen?
I lost a backing pad to a brake pad. That was good.
Oh, well, that's just
It just
went flying.
yeah, it just ejected itself.
Yeah.
It was a Hawk Blues that had eaten enough of the rotor away that
Lots of oil and coolant.
there are lots of transmission parts. Those have fallen off.
Or Gary sent a rod through an entire TTRS.
So the whole thing just fell off.
Yeah. So yeah, no, things do fall off
Things- yeah,
cars. Let us know more.
yeah, we need some more info on this one
Yeah.
too. But it's not a normal thing. But it's not unheard of either.
I heard there will be an update to the datalogger software. Any updates?
I don't have any updates. We have a lot of stuff coming for that. It's not a huge priority right now. It's serving its function for what we need. Again, it's mostly a troubleshooting and tech support tool. So we did a couple of updates a few months ago that include a lot more fault code stuff for us on the logs you send us. But yeah, I've got nothing imminent that I'm pushing.
And keep in mind, currently and for the foreseeable future, the logger is for us to support
Yeah.
customers. This is not a tool to be used by people to tune their cars or
Or self-diagnosed
Yeah.
to an extent.
so. If you contact us and you have a concern about your car, this allows our customer service to see what's going on with your engine and tune it without actually seeing your car.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to get. Can you do a mobile app for gauges and data logging?
I mean, the laptop's mobile, but no, not at this time. We don't have anything that interfaces wirelessly, I think is what you're asking here, or, something that integrates in the dash itself. So no, I mean, the cable itself is a USB connection. Outside of that,
This kind of falls under the, what do we focus on?
Yeah.
And we could spend 6 months of engineering or whatever to create a mobile app that wouldn't actually help anyone's car run better or differently. It would give you a different user experience, but we could also spend that 6 months developing the next awesome tune that actually makes cars go fast and more fun to drive. So for the time being, we've chosen not to do any mobile app stuff, and we have no plans to currently.
Yep.
You carry lower ball joints for the 2021 TTRS? No, not currently. It would just be whatever factory replacement you could get from anywhere. We've sort of considered doing something. We released our RCO ball joints recently that fits everything except the TTs. But it's such a small market. I don't know if it makes sense for us to do that. And we do have a really nice setup for the TTRS already that gives you a lot of camber. So it's probably not something we'll do. That's a real expensive.
going from memory too, but I'm pretty sure the TTRS has a much
It has a better setup.
better alignment by
It
default.
has a cast aluminum arm with slotted
Well,
ball joints.
but that too. But I believe the roll center is actually way better on the TT
way better.
chassis
Way better.
than the MQB stuff.
The problem is once you lower the TT, you need a similar solution. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't think it's nearly as bad, but yeah, it's similar.
Yes. Have your 4-inch turbo elbow for the DAZA RS3 TTRS. Is it a good idea to replace the wastegate hose with something better during the install? We don't require it, but I've heard of people doing it.
Yeah, the hose is kind of a pain.
Yeah.
It's a mixed hard line and soft line. So I mean, sure, if you want to make it a little cleaner, but beware on how you route it. I've seen a number of people route it like on the backside or something, and it falls down on a turbo, melts, and it's terrible.
I mean, I would say don't mess with it unless you really
unless
know what you're
unless you really want to, and you know how to, what type of hose to use. And
this hose experiences a lot of heat,
Yep.
and if it fails,
yeah, these are pretty sure I'm right here. These are vacuum out. vacuum operated? Yeah, these are vacuum operated. So you've got to run a hose that is capable of dealing with that, which is not most of your silicone hoses, like the non-reinforced, just floppy silicone hoses.
Do I have to take my Revo tune out before going to your tune? No.
Generally no on those. Some tunes do change some of the it's called the seed key algorithm you use basically to authenticate and log into the ECU to allow it to be flashed. I don't know if Revo does or not, or if they've changed anything recently. So if it's not too terrible for you to flash back to stock via your Revo dealer, that's going to give you the most surefire way to do it. But I know stuff like Cobb, and I know a couple of other vendors out there do change those, so you cannot flash back to stock without going to a dealer or using one of their tools to flash back. So it can get pretty interesting if you buy a car like second or third hand that has one of these tunes on it. You have no idea what's on it or how to flash it to stock.
But generally, we tell people like
usually you can. Usually it's not a problem. But to be safe, if you can, sure, go back to stock.
True flex fuel tune priority for MQB. What hardware is needed?
So this one is likely going to be combined with the multi-port injection, just to be able to run flex fuel and be able to supply the fuel you need. Be sure you've got enough there. It's going to come with the multi-port stuff. So it'll be rail, injectors, hoses, harnesses, sensor and connector. So it's going to be a little more than just the flex fuel sensor.
Why are the UK quoted figures for people? Why are the UK quoted figures on the stage 1 B9 3.T lower than the US?
I asked for a follow up on where he's seeing that.
I'm not sure that
Unless he's seen figures of another car.
I'm not sure. Yeah, the only quoted numbers we have are on our website.
Our website is the only numbers we quote, and we don't have anything specific for certain countries.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look to some people, depending on how they post it, may be converting from horsepower to PS to kilowatt to, there's a lot of different measurements. So
I mean, who knows?
who knows? I'm not sure what they're talking about here.
As far as he's not talking about other people, he's talking about our quote.
Yeah, it's just on our website.
And that's all we have is what we have, and there's no country references.
Yep.
How much is the discount offered for people switching tuners to the B9 S4? Yeah, we do a 25% discount. You just have to email contact@034motorsport.com.
Yep.
True for all.
Yeah, that's all platforms. Anybody coming from any
Yeah, we wouldn't differentiate between one platform or another.
As well as a 30-day.
30-day suspension. Yep.
On the B8.5 S5, does a full transmission adaptation, clutch position, pressure, etc. reset to Audi default or 034 default, or should I reflash my TCU again just to be sure? Keep up the great work. Thank you.
The adaptation is going to be specific to your transmission. We do not change anything that interacts with the adaptation process, so it should be the same regardless. But go ahead and run it. But yeah, you shouldn't have to like flash back to stock, do an adaptation, then flash to 034. You should be able to run it with ours or stock.
A follow-up question that we get often with that is, does our transmission tune do a DSG adaptation when you flash?
It depends on the DSG. No, none of them do. Because it's a process, you have to have the transmission up to a certain temperature. You have to enter the actual adaptation process so that the clutches will start cycling. So no, you can't just flash it and have it do an adaptation, because the engine has to be running. It has to have some certain conditions that it'll do an adaptation on.
Any updates or revisions coming for 3.0T supercharged files?
There are. We don't have anything. I don't have anything timelined out. I mean, we've talked about adding some features, but right now they're in a pretty good spot. The advanced launch control across the rest of the platforms was the latest big push, and that was just a month ago. We finished releasing those, so yeah, we're still working on them. I don't have anything right now that I'm going to say is ready to go for that yet.
Will you guys be developing an exhaust system for the B9 platform? Honestly, they don't really benefit from it that much. And for us, exhausts, we don't currently sell any full, offer any full exhaust. We're working on an R8 exhaust solution, but they're big, expensive, and heavy, and we've just chosen to stay out of that market. And I don't see us going in there anytime soon. What we do offer are the ResX solutions, which basically help augment the sound. But the stock systems flow really good these days. and you know, we have lots of cars making tons of power on the stock exhaust.
Yeah.
I don't think in the past we've taken factory exhausts off, and the gains are pretty.
Since like what? God, I guess since the B8 and then the Mark 6.
I would say going back to like the early 90s.
No, because B5.
Or early 2000s.
Yeah, B5 you could definitely get some power out of it.
Like post B5 era.
Yeah.
Um,
We don't include
Even-
the B6
even-
next. The B6 was just
and like Mark IV
At least one
VW's
engine,
exhaust flowed really well, but some of the new stuff's really.
Yep.
I was under the RS5 recently, just marveling at that exhaust.
no. They
It's
they
huge.
definitely put some time in
Massive,
and
yeah.
weren't shortcutting the pipe size on that one.
And for what you spend on an exhaust, $2-3 grand, there's so much bigger bang for the buck stuff. So that's kind of what we recommend. Someone's asking about what fuel pumps will we be recommending for use with our B9 3.0T high pressure fuel pump files. We're not really in the business of recommending other people's products. I'm not sure what we're going to do about that.
Yeah, we've been talking about we'll just do like a percentage,
Yeah.
flow rating of
As long as
stock
it-
required.
But we're not here to like vouch for someone else's product and then it has problems
Yeah,
and people
it's-
get mad at us,
a really tough
which will happen. So, and well, it's going to be kind of go out on the market and figure it out yourself. As long as it meets these specifications, we will be offering our own solution. It's unfortunately not quite as far along as any of us would like.
Yep.
We've had some setbacks. These aren't easy products to create. So, and I know, one company took their MQB EA888 Gen 3 solution and modified it to fit in this. And they had a bunch of problems, and it looks like maybe they finally figured it out. But there's at least 3 options on the market right now.
Everything I know of on the market right now is fine and works.
As far as we know, but
As far as
it's very early.
We're saying flow wise, as far as reliability
As far as
and long term. That we obviously
Yeah.
can't speak to that.
Yeah, the options flow enough, but I know one of them they had tons of at least 2 of them had tons of issues.
Yeah.
And maybe have solved it
Yeah,
now.
they-
We don't. So we're not going to
Sold it for a while, stopped selling them, figured out something, and then have started selling them again recently.
We have a hard enough time people getting mad at us about 034 stuff. Last thing
Right.
we need
Yeah.
is them getting
Being-
mad at us about other
Being
brands. too.
accountable for somebody else's product, we pointed them towards.
It's Russian, so
And then there's that, yeah.
What turbo inlet do you recommend for the B9 S4 since you do not have one available yet? We will very soon, and you should just wait for that.
Yeah, same problem there.
It's going to be by far the nicest, best option on the market.
And we're gonna have two stages.
You have a perfectly good turbo inlet on your car right now that gets you around just fine. And once ours is released, there will be some substantive gains, and the quality I believe is second to none. And then we will back that up with our SuperDuper version, which is a much bigger, higher flowing version, which will accommodate hybrid turbos in the future. But definitely wait. That's our recommendation. Is the flashing process for TCU different than ECU?
Nope, exactly the same. You just gotta select
Well,
transmission.
except you have to rub your tummy when you do the TCU.
Technically,
And then the ECU you rub the top of your head. But other than that, they're the same. What do you have in the works for Mark 8 GTI? Everything. We just released. It would be nice if we had one. Our turbo muffler delete for the Mark 8 Gen 4. That's out and in stock and ready to ship. They've been selling. We will be doing intakes, ResX, downpipe, tuning eventually. It's hard to say when tuning will be available. All of our suspension products, springs, sway bars, a lot of the stuff already fits. So
it's an evolution from the Mark 7
Yeah.
era.
So right off the bat, I would say if you have a Mark 8 and you're interested in our products, go to our website and put your Mark 8 in and then see what's available. So a lot of it is we've simply added Mark 8 applications to the current application listings on our site. And inserts, everything, motor mounts, transmission mounts, all the density stuff. So everything you see for for Mark 7. We will have for Mark 8 as well. And they're very similar cars, so there's not a lot of new products, aside from that.
Yeah, tuning, that's obviously on the horizon.
How come you don't sell catless downpipes? We talk about this a lot.
Yep.
One, they're very polluting, and we don't support just full on pollution.
Right. And I mean, the amount of power and whatnot, and again, all of even our high flow stuff is for racing use only, and there's just very, very minimal difference.
Oh, that was going to be my next. My next point is the flow gains are not. They're not the test pipe or catless. For most of the applications that people run, we don't see any power gain over what we offer for like a Euro 4 high flow cat, which actually it does run quite clean. It's not smog legal by any means, but it's very clean, substantially cleaner, orders of magnitude cleaner. I mean, this is basically early 2000s emission standard. So it's a clean running high flow cat, and it's just as much power as a test pipe. So why wouldn't you do that? And then there's the soot, there's the smell. I every once in a while I get behind a car that's clearly catless, and it's noxious. You're on the road behind. I don't see the point.
No,
they are more expensive. There's definitely you pay more, but the benefits are there by far. Do you guys plan on motor mounts for the B9? Yes, we are very imminent to release the B9 A4 mounts, which are considered a street density upgrade. They will also fit the B9 S4 and variants. They would be a solid rubber, non-fluid filled option, but as far as we can tell, they're similar. It would result in similar performance, but just it would be more durable in the long run. So we would offer the motor mounts for the S cars as an OE replacement, but we do have a street density upgrade for the A4, and then we are coming out with an S4 version. We're probably like late summer or something. We will have a street density S4, S5, SQ5 mount. And then we do currently have a transmission insert for all these models. If you haven't done that, you should.
that's huge. It's such a simple thing.
And the street puck itself.
And then we have the stage 2, rubber mount that goes in the back as well. Yeah. And that one controls, the up and down motion.
On the back of the transmission.
On the back of the transmission.
All kinds of questions.
We got B9A4 tune.
Yeah, B9A4 tune ASAP. Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
That one's, I don't know. I'd love to know how much traction that platform's getting. It's a good
There's
platform.
lots of people who tell us they want.
Yeah.
So,
Well, is it, or is it the same people?
No,
It's a
people
bunch, yeah.
every post.
It seems like it's picking up steam.
do you guys plan on doing anything with the Haldex calibration? I mean, I think that's
Haldex calibration
off if we do.
It's a ways off. We have done a bunch of the research, and dug into it. I can can extract, we can flash, we can do that. We do not have a time frame set up right now to calibrate and reflash those currently.
When is the B9 RS5 tune coming out?
Very soon. We're wrapping up some of the engineering testing this week. It's going to be at the track tomorrow for some final tests, and then we're in a very good place. So it's coming soon.
We are tentatively shooting for about a week from now. So, if you're interested in this and you'd like it, it's coming very soon. Don't quote us on exactly 1 week. That's, but
yeah,
that's what we're pushing towards from an engineering and marketing standpoint is to finish up the engineering, and we're gearing up for the release. So ideally, it would be about a week from now. Yes. Stay tuned. We'll release more information as it gets closer. Someone said the Brisk spark plugs have an unintended hidden engineering advantage in that the silver melts and the plugs go back before rings start to melt from getting too hot or lean. Is that true?
I have heard this from a couple of sources. It is nothing we've tested. Obviously, we'll never stand by and say that it's a fuse that's going to save you. But
They say
Brisk, it. Yeah, we like I said, we have not ever tested, nor will we.
Yeah, silver has a much lower melting point than, say, iridium, platinum, or something like that. So yes, if your EGTs or your combustion temps are higher than they're supposed to be, you'd rather have spark plug melt and stop firing, than your piston. And so, they specifically claim that the silver electrode offers this advantage. I can't argue with that. It sounds good to me. In our experience, we haven't had them melt during normal use.
Yeah, I don't think we've. I haven't seen one that's had any kind of damage to it.
And these really durable metals, iridium's like from comets. There's only so much of it on Earth. They're extremely durable. An iridium plug in a factory car is rated for 100,000 miles, in some case longer, and that's great on a detuned factory car that is well within the limits of anything with very conservative tuning. That's what you want, right? I mean, you're taking your kids to soccer practice, you're going to the grocery store, you don't want to screw around with spark plugs. But if you've taken your high performance sedan from 350 horsepower to 550, you've kind of taken a lot of that extra margin of safety out. There's still a margin of safety, and that's more than acceptable, but you've removed the excess safety. So you could benefit from something like this in a high performance application. This is I'm just trying to
fault somewhere
if there's an issue. I'm just trying to explain why a company like Brisk would do this. And why you would never see this in a factory vehicle, because maybe you would in like a Lamborghini.
They might run it, but they wouldn't. The factory's not going to be like, "Hey, the plug will give up for your motor." That's not anything.
But you'd much rather take out a melted spark plug that costs $12 than a $20,000 motor.
Yeah, and that holds true for a lot of components on the vehicle. Like, there's always fuses, right? Or there's always something that's going to be the weakest link, and sometimes it's good to have that in there. If you're at the point where you're breaking axles and not breaking your transmission, that's a better fuse to blow than a transmission. So this can come up in a number of different parts of the vehicle.
For B9 S4, are you guys only working on hybrid tuning right now, or is the update still coming with the additional features we heard of months ago?
We're working on both. We've got some new calibrations coming for the stock turbo as well as hybrid coming. And we as we've said a number of times, we want to get the calibration ironed out, dialed in 100%, make all the power we can, and then start worrying about features. You can easily get into the trap of spending time on all these features and bells and whistles, and it's either a band-aid or a solution you don't end up needing if the calibration's where it should be. So once we see a need for it, we will add those features in.
Yep. Someone's asking about adjusting burbles. We've addressed this many times. We do not currently have any plans for adjustable burbles. The main reason why is it's not like we don't believe in people's ability to do that. Every file that we offer requires a tremendous amount of support to maintain.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that we take lightly. That level of file support takes away from our ability to do everything else. There's only so many hours in the day. So currently we have no plans for that. We believe that the burbles we offer and the various modes that you can operate them in, and between comfort and dynamic.
How many calibration files currently are in our that we've worked on, released, and managed? And
we believe that those offer an acceptable compromise, from the myriad of opinions and desires that have been expressed to us by customers. So for the time being, no. If we can find a way to do it, we would. If there was an easier way to support it, we would. but not at this time. And I understand, in BMW land, there's burble knobs and kinds of cool stuff. We don't have that in Volkswagen and Audi. And we're choosing to spend our engineering time doing stage 3 files, improving the current files, adding more features and functionality, diving into new applications. It's things like on the B9 A4 S4 platform, what different characteristics can be expected from the different swaybar setups you offer? In other words, how does the rear only kit for the B9 compared to the front and rear kit you offer? We just went over
this. It holds true for all of the platforms, but if we have this segment recorded, we'll maybe clip it out, or you can watch it earlier. I think that was one of the very first questions we answered in this segment.
Real quick, I'll just rehash. The rear bar only will offer a more lively oversteer type of driving with less body roll reduction overall, because you'll only be stiffening the rear. The front of the car will still want to lean as much as it does stock. What you're giving up in flatness, you're gaining in liveliness of the rear end handling. The full sway bar setup will offer a more substantial reduction in body roll. Overall, the car will feel smoother and flatter through corners. It will tend to push more than the rear only bar setup. However, the full bar setup will still handle much better than factory and push a lot less than factory. So, if you're just looking for that really lively rear end, handling, then the rear bar is what we recommend. And if you if you drive less at the limit, you like to stay within the limit, and you're just looking for that faster responding steering, that flatter cornering and handling, then the full Dynamic Plus kit or package is recommended.
It's one of those questions that's really hard to answer universally too, because it's going to really depend on, like Joe just said, what you're driving, how you're driving it, what conditions. Are we talking in commuting or on ramps? Are we talking road course? Are we talking autocross? Yeah. So all those different requirements kind of will dictate which suspension setup you really will be best suited to.
There's one additional factor that comes into play, and that I didn't talk about earlier, is basically all these cars have independent front suspensions. That means that if you're driving down the road and you hit a big bump on the left side, the left suspension reacts, and the right suspension has no idea. There's no connection between the two suspensions. Unlike a solid rear axle, where if you hit one side, the axle's doing this, right? So it disrupts the other side too. Now, from the factory, there is a sway bar. A sway bar is a device that connects the left and right suspensions together. And so when a force acts on the left suspension, that force is transferred through the bar to the right side of the suspension. The force is diminished by however much the sway bar twists. And sway bars are made from spring steel, so they twist. The stock sway bar is relatively low stiffness, and so when that left suspension reacts, the amount of force transferred to the right side is pretty minimal because of how soft the sway bar is. As you begin to stiffen up the sway bar, that force gets transferred more. And so you reduce the level of independence of the front suspension. This is a compromise that we take into account. And so we try to minimize the amount of this. And we choose the stiffness and diameter of the sway bar, taking this into account. But there's no free lunch when it comes to this. So when you go to the full sway bar setup, you do reduce the independence some amount. It's not a bad thing. You're not going to really notice it, and it's not going to give you a worse driving experience. But it is an advantage for the rear only setup, is you maintain that better compliant independence of the front suspension while getting more oversteer, if that's what you want. So something to think about. And it's not why it's why you don't always want this huge thick front sway bar, because you could get to a certain point where you have a 2-inch front sway bar and your left and right suspensions are connected to each other, and everything that happens on the left side happens on the right side, and that's not what you want. But there's an amount of that thanks to the fact that the sway bar twists. All right, Um,
About 10 minutes.
watch is telling me I should stand again. B9 S4, I'm about to buy your Stage 1 E85 tune. Awesome. What do I need to do for that? And I would like to learn about power and reliability on it. Also, should I flash it first, then fill it up with E85? So we did create a video last week about this on our Uncut channel on YouTube. So if you just search 034 Uncut.
Yeah,
It
you
should
find the
come
channel. We do a lot of clip outs here, and then Nick will put up some small instructional videos from time to time.
We recommend watching that video. That's going to tell you everything you need to know. We've talked about this a bunch here. And also email tuning at 034 as a way to get help and assistance. You don't really need to do anything to do Stage 1 E85, right?
We do recommend you get a content sensor so you know what the ethanol content is. That's
Yes.
kind of the one thing we do. Just takes the guesswork out of it.
That's all in the video.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of stuff in the video that we could talk about right now. But it's all in the video. Watch that. And yes, so you're going to want to go out and buy a content sensor so you actually know what your E-content is of the fuel going into your motor, not of the fuel that you put into your tank, which doesn't really...
Yeah, it takes some time to get to the other end.
There is a fuel system in between your tank and the engine, and those lines can actually take quite a bit of time. So.
Lines, the filter is full of whatever was in there previously, and it's not a circulating system, so it's first in, first out.
I think lastly, we'd recommend going to a chiropractor and having your neck adjusted to prepare you for the acceleration you're about to experience. Why do your 8S TTRS springs look so high? I don't know what you saw. The car is definitely lower. I spend a lot of time. In fact, I'm the final sign off on all these springs that we do. There is an issue of so just to kind of frame this dynamic that maybe you're experiencing. You could lower a car 3 inches, and then you could go get some of those like RC car tires and bolt that onto the car, and it's going to look like you have an 18-inch fender gap. So depending on what tire and wheel is on the car, it's going to make a big difference in how low the car looks. Our reference when we look at a car on how low it is the fender gap. That's what we see. We really don't have a reference to the rocker panel to the ground, although if it's like almost touching the ground, then we would be left with the impression that the car is really low. But generally, we're talking about lowering a car. The TTRS is already low stock, so we're only lowering it like less than an inch.
Yeah, it does like 3.
It doesn't need to be lowered hardly much at all. But we do close that fender gap up a little bit. So the lowering is subtle. But if you go from like a 265/19 on a 9.3 inch wheel, like our ZTF wheels, and then you see another car with a 255 on an 8.5, it's gonna the smaller tire, and then depending on how flush it is.
That's a really good point. Is the fender to tire sidewall can affect how it looks a lot.
And then if the new wheel and tire has like a 1/2 inch or more rolling diameter less, then all these things make the fender gap look bigger. So we struggle with this in customer service a lot because people will email us and say, hey, my car doesn't look very low, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll recommend a plus flush. So we offer spacers to bring the tire out closer to the fender, which makes the car look lower. It also looks way better, gives you a little wider track too. And then, I know like 18-inch setups it just looks smaller.
Well, and it depends again on the sidewall too. They're running, a lot of guys will run a smaller overall diameter tire at times, and that's just going to make the gap look a little bigger.
So our springs do lower the car. The specified amount that we have on our website, there's a tolerance. But the springs do lower it. Now, what it looks like to you could be based on all the things I just described. Okay. Does the MQB ball joint upgrade add any NVH? No.
That
Zero,
is
none.
the same interfacing construction as the stock.
There is the factory ball joint has no compliance, which means it doesn't bend or move at all as far as vibrations and its dimensionality. It has a pivot, but that's not really compliance. and then our ball joint's the same. So it's just the dimensions are. It's not like we took any rubber out of it or anything like that. You're good. B8.5 S5 Stage 2 Dual Pulley 93 octane. How much horsepower will the SuperDuper Charger add?
That's a tough one to answer. It's pretty. I mean, it's as we state on the website. It's.
Well, they can just look at our website.
Yeah, look at the website.
Yeah. Go look at our website. We post everything there. It's not, we've been very upfront. It's not a huge power adder, but there is power there.
Yeah, we're getting into the realm of diminishing returns on these cars.
Are high nines going to be achievable on hybrid turbos? Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we're early in development still in the 710. We're what do we do? A 10-1?
10-1, yeah.
Yeah, 10-1.
No, we'll be there very soon. So, and we haven't posted anything, but yeah, absolutely. I think B9 S4s are gonna, they're gonna be something akin to the RS3s, the 8V.5 RS3s that became kind of this drag racing phenom, or an acceleration.
It's going to be a very capable car. Yeah. Thanks to the turbo packaging on it. We've got a lot of stuff.
Once people really start lightening the cars and developing really good drag setups, at times I think already you could easily get into the nines with the right drag setup on the car. What oil do you use in the B9 S4? We run liquid moly oils here in our service departments. Anything that's factory specification, we would recommend. There's a lot of good stuff out there. I would just say, whatever factory.
Yeah, make sure it's got. You can look in your. I think it's a manual on these, but yeah, it'll have a VW like a 504 point something number, but it'll specify the VW rating.
It's an OEM.
It's an OEM rating, and a number of different oil manufacturers will hit that specification and list it. So you can usually search by that to see what's compatible. We've run Motul, liquid moly.
We'll stay away from recommending specific oil weights because we don't add anything to that. Just run the factory stuff. Any idea when the full R8 suspension kit will be available? Oh man, I've been wanting to release this for so long.
It's a very tested, very developed kit.
So we are only really waiting on sway bars right now. We offer quite a few parts already. So if you'd like to get started, you could do springs. We have camber shims. We have various inserts that we've released. We have end links. We spent a lot of time, more time developing R8 sway bars and springs than on any other application we've ever done before. I've talked about the sport. Just the R8's already really good, and so you can't just kind of sneeze at it and get something better. Not to say that that's what we do, but it's. I'll be honest. The gains were substantially harder to get on the R8 than on your average GTI or S4, which makes perfect sense, right? Audi spent a lot of time optimizing the R8 for a reason. It's a flagship handling.
It's a super. They're supercar.
Yeah. So we arrived at very specific sway bar specifications, and the size steel that we needed for one of the sway bars was just completely not available for 6 months in the U.S. anywhere.
Wait, is this a supply chain?
Believe it or not, there are supply chain issues, and frankly, I'm fed up with those.
You are fed up.
This is the resting dick face.
You want to see a fed up face? It's this.
The resting dick face is due to supply chain issues, which apparently that's what someone has responded to my RDF. Sorry. Okay, so we finally got a hold of the steel. I don't know exactly when they'll be out of manufacturing, but it's not too long. But I would say jump into our other stuff. The springs alone are awesome, even with factory sway bars. Will you be at ZTF Auto Cars and Coffee this Saturday at 9? It's at March. It's March 12th. We will have free Starbread coffee and raffle opportunities. I am planning on being there.
And it's not Starbread coffee; it's Starbread and coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, Starbread, which is a kind of a Filipino.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's like butter and dough
and sugar. It's delicious. You can just eat them. Yes, I will. I'm planning on being there, barring any life complications. I will not be cooking, so.
ZTF Auto San Jose.
And this is our ZTF Automotive San Jose location,
Don't come to the Fremont location.
which is at Club Autosport in San Jose. It's beautiful. Come by and check it out. There'll be good company and coffee and stuff like that.
Yep.
Are we good? Or?
I think we're good.
Okay.
We're good through it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Once again, thank you for the awesome questions. I will try to look perkier for the future for your emotional satisfaction. Cheers. See you guys next week.